Hello and welcome to our Just Press Record live stream. I'm Jonathan Mast and I'm with Whitebeard Strategies, and I've got today with me Jay Coe from I'm Third Media. And Jay, we're going to talk today a lot about video and the importance of video for marketing, for creating omnipresence online, for connecting with your audience and all that. But before we jump into all that, Jay, can you give everybody a little bit of an introduction on who you are and what you do so that they know a little bit about you as well?
Absolutely, Jonathan. Thanks for having me. And by the way, that start timer, I noticed it said 10 seconds, but then it definitely felt longer than 10 seconds. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, no, it's a countdown versus a second. It's actually probably, I think it runs 45 to 50 seconds total. So
Interesting. It's funny how I just kind of assumed that it was 10 seconds and not just a countdown. So, okay. Well, anyways, my name is
good
Jay,
feedback though. I
and
appreciate it.
absolutely. And my name is Jay. I'm with I Am Third Media, and I specialize in working with real estate agents on creating omnipresence for them in their community so that they can build better relationships, be seen everywhere, be known, and really become the trusted community icon when it comes to real estate. And I've been passionate about content since, 16 years old. It's just it's only been about 7 years since I did it professionally, but it's something that I've always done in my life. And funny how times have progressed where content became more and more and more important. And we used to say things like, oh, like content creation is the future. Now it's like content creation is now. And if you're not on board, then you might be, you're falling behind a little bit. So I'm very much into long form content, being able to repurpose, create as much repurposing content so that it's going to help you, save time and energy. The goal is to do, minimum input and maximize the output, and content is the best way that you can achieve that, in my opinion.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Jay. And one of the things we want to talk about today is just that. And I think it's probably important we start with why video, because I know a lot of business owners, that concept of recording video, it freaks them out. And they're like, man, I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. But I know
Hmm.
that video brings so much value and the ability to connect with your audience and the ability to share what's going on. And candidly, I mean, make connections in ways that words just can't. And it makes sense. I mean, we're all stuck on these mobile phones nowadays watching video. And if I fill that screen, just like we're filling the screen here as we talk, that creates a much more personalized impact. But I also know one of the things that we're going to talk about, just to foreshadow a little bit for everybody, is we know that not everybody has time to do a lot of video. And you've got an amazing system that I want to talk about that literally, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but 2 hours a month and they can do video all month long. Is that correct?
2 hours a month at most, and then it creates this illusion of you spend hours and hours and hours of creating content. Yes.
Yeah, and we'll get to that, guys. So stick around. We're going to talk about that and how important that is and how you can do it. But let's start with video. Why is video important? I shared some of my thoughts there, but Jay, give us your perspective. Why is video the most important content that a business owner can be creating in 2023?
Couple of things. One thing is, for me at least, it's there's something about just hearing someone say things or reading something that someone has written down versus actually being able to see them, right? So if it's like a talking head, if we can hear and see at the same time, I feel like it triggers more connection point rather than just hearing someone talk or just reading something that someone has written. And again, it's come down to basically this. Even when we didn't have this, a lot of video content was the best way to get the message across. But now with this thing, we're always on it. I mean, ask yourself, like, I spend good amount of time on the phone, and I'm more likely to stop and watch something if it's in a video format versus if it's like a written post or even a photo. Now, everybody's different, and I'm not saying this goes for everyone, but for the most part, you're going to stop the scroll more with video than not. That's what I think. But also, the other thing is, for the sake of repurposing the content, if you're going to invest and spend the time to create content, it's best if you start at the top and then work your way down on how you can repurpose that content. So for example, if you wrote a blog, right? You created a blog post. There is no way that you're going to turn that into a video. Well, let me rephrase that. At least not with you in it, right? Because there's AI technology now. You can just write something and use deep fakes and make. I get that, but it what I'm trying to say is if you were to have created a video content, then it's way easier to repurpose that into different formats such as audio or written content than vice versa. So I work a lot in the podcast arena. So clients ask me like, why does it have to be video? If I'm going to have you sit down and talk about something that's very interesting and it adds value to people, we might as well just hit the record button. No pun intended about the program, but might as well hit the record button because you're already doing it, right? So that's the two main things why I think video is the future. And also, think about where you're going to search for things. It's either Google or it's YouTube, right? So just to build that presence, it's like a baked in SEO kind of thing. If you prep your content correctly, then the more video you upload on YouTube is going to play to your favor in terms of Google's ability to show you to more people. Because what Google wants to do is provide the best result when someone goes in and searches. So they're going to be looking for people or places or businesses that they believe is an expert, and how they're going to determine that is based on amount of content that you have up on the cloud.
110%. And I think that's so important to know that, these platforms, they want to keep people on the platform, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, you name it. Their goal is to keep people on the platform. And if they have your content, that is a way they can do that. And the algorithms have gotten so good, they're going to understand who it is that's interested in your content, even if you're not sure. But I'm going to take a quick step back. So I know a lot of people are like, nobody really wants to listen to me. No, that's what a lot of business owners are saying, and they're going, yeah, big deal. But two things I like to talk about there is, one, you are an expert in your niche, and you need to demonstrate that. And people are online more than ever looking for answers to questions. And like you said, YouTube videos in particular, they show up in the search results. But the other thing I want to talk about is everybody seems worried about nobody's going to watch me or I'm going to make a fool of myself. Let's talk a little bit about audience to start with. And by that, I mean number of views. I always ask my clients, if you could speak to a room of 100 people that were good prospects for you, that would likely be interested in your services and what you did, how far would you drive? How much time would you spend there? And how much time would you prep to have and give, let's say, a 20-minute speech or a 5-minute speech, doesn't matter, to a group of 100 people that were interested? From your perspective, Jay, 100 is not a big number. I know that. But I think most of us would move heaven and earth, essentially, to go talk to 100 people that were interested in what we had to do. Yet we consider 100 views on a video to be, oh, that must have been a failure. Talk to me about your perspective on what should a business owner be expecting as far as views, and is it just views, or is it the right views that really matter?
Some of that comes from the fact that we've gotten to recognize the terms like, view counts and subscribers and all these terms that go along with describing how popular you are, right? So I think we have to take a step back and go, what exactly is the intent of you creating this content as a business owner? As a business owner, your goal is, at least I don't think, your goal is not to become a rock star YouTuber or to go viral, or your goal is to basically generate more sales, which means you can have 100 views, but if 2 of those views convert into sales, that's better than having 5,000 views and nobody coming to you and buying what you're selling. So I don't really count view count as a indicator as opposed to how much engagement are you actually getting that. You can have 10,000 views with one comment versus you can have 100 views and but there's 12 people that commented at saying, "Oh, I need this," or "Thank you for," there's a big difference. So rather than view count or subscriber count, you got to rely more on engagement. So the important thing here
Absolutely.
is when you create a piece of content, whether it's YouTube or Shorts or Instagram or whatever, you have to do it with intention. And that intention is, what action do I want my viewer or do I want my follower or subscriber? What action do I want them to take if I create and generate enough value, right? Because if you get views, then what? I mean, what if they just watch your thing and then it just poof goes away? So I always preach about be intentional about where you're leading them. So some saying things like, "Hey, if you found value in the content that I created, and if there are areas of whatever I just mentioned here that I can help you with, come click on this link because when you click on that, you'll be able to find a lot more of where this just came from, and that kind of starts that top of funnel process because when they click on that, then now you can track that. Now you know how much impact your content is creating. And again, whether it's video or Instagram post, whatever, you always want to have that end click point where you want to lead people to. So whether you're getting 100 views, 10,000 views, really the actual thing that you want to measure is what is the actual engagement that you're getting out of it.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I love your recommendation there. And I think it makes so much sense. Obviously, these should not all be sales videos. If we do that, nobody's going to watch. We need to
Absolutely.
educate, we need to entertain. But it's so easy at the end of your video or partway through the video to say, if you've got more questions, go to this link. I'm a big fan of using what's called a link tree. I
Mm-hmm.
put one on my website. I don't subscribe to a service, and it's just a single page that on virtually every video I do, or always in my description, I'm putting, here's where you can go to get more information. And the beauty of that link tree is I can change that at any point in time. So I can have a video that maybe somebody watched or I created a year ago that somebody watches today, and they can still see my current offers without me having to update that video or make any changes, because I always use the same link. But that link, that what's on
Right.
that page, I can change so easily. And in my opinion, it doesn't seem salesy if I'm not they're trying to sell you something. If it's just an add-on, kind of like, hey, if you like this, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and go to jonathanmast.com/linktree for more resources. That's
Mm-hmm.
not a sales pitch. That's providing, again, as you said, a resource for someone that says, wow, I'm interested in what's being talked about here. Uh, that brings up the question, and I just see this showing up here. It's one of the questions I see. How much content should be educational, I'll use that in general, entertaining, and how much should be sales focused? Do you have a percentage or a goal that you recommend to your clients, Jay, when they're creating content, as to how much should be true sales content and how much should not be?
So that the answer to that question evolved for me throughout time.
Mm-hmm.
I started as it should probably be like 80-20, 70-30, and earlier in my path, what I was doing is, okay, like one week we're going to educate people. The following week we're going to give them something that they can empower themselves with, and then the next week we're going to do something that's more entertainment driven, and then the last week we're going to kind of do a call to action sales type of video, right? So
Yep.
that's how I was breaking down. But my mindset actually has changed a lot, where now I'm just keep adding value, 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 value.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what's going to happen is, if you just keep helping people, they will eventually be gravitating towards clicking on your profile, right? The link in bio or your description, your channel description. And I almost feel like at the end of every video you create, as long as it's a value adding content, you can always say, hey, if what I just took the time to create for you, you found valuable, do me a favor. If you have more questions, just click here, right? And that's where it leads
Absolutely.
to that link tree. So I call this the 10 o'clock in bed effect, where a lot of people consume the content on their bed, on their phone, between, like 8 to 10 p.m. And
Yep.
whatever they see and whatever they click on is going to determine if they're going to give you a call or send you an email or DM you next morning at 9 o'clock.
Oh, absolutely. I love the way you describe that, Jay, and I think that makes so much sense. You know, most people listening probably have heard of Alex Hormozy. He just put out a big new book. In fact, if I went widescreen, you'd see it behind my shoulder there.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about the exact same thing you did, which is give value, provide value. When you provide value, people naturally want to resonate with what you're saying, and you've built that rapport, and people want to reach out and work with you. They want to talk to you. I had this experience happen to me. Same concept again, giving value, putting lots of videos out there. And I'll never forget it. It happened about 6-7 months ago for me. I got on a call with somebody from Alabama. I'm in Michigan. I had never met this person. One of my sales team had set up the call for me to get on, and I got on with this gentleman. And it, literally one of the first things he said is, Jonathan, you are in my video feed and my social feed all the time, and you've provided me with so much value. What can you do to help me today? How can I work with you? It wasn't me trying to sell him. It was almost him trying to sell me on why he deserved the time on the call so we could find out how it can work. And again, all of us, whether we're dentists, chiropractors, real estate agents, you name it, we're all selling at some level. And if we can provide that value, like you just shared with them, they're going to reach out to you, especially those that want to do business with you. And that's what we want anyway. It gets back to the number. We don't need to be worried about 1 million views. If you had 100 people that wanted to work with you, that watched your video, and 10 of them reached out, that has more value than 1 million people watching it and 2 people reaching out. So
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And I actually have a great example. When I was running a real estate company, we created a YouTube channel where it was geared towards the Korean community in the greater Seattle area. And we never got past like 1,000 subscribers. And most of our videos were just, couple thousand views at best. But we were able to generate at least, 1 or 2 deal every quarter, because people were seeing that all over the country and saying like, hey, like I just got hired by Facebook, I just got hired by Amazon, like we have to come, move there, can you help us? And it was mind boggling. Like it doesn't take hundreds of thousands of views to generate business. What generates business is you being consistent with the creating of the content, and then just being genuine and adding value. And people are just going to be like, wow, I feel like that person can help me.
Oh, absolutely. Jay, we've just had a question come in that I think is really relevant. And it's the question is, they work in a local area. They're not looking at national business. And I know you specialize in working with real estate agents who are obviously very local focused. How does video, like we're talking about, and views and all that, how does that work for somebody that has a territory or a local market that they're going for versus a national? Can you talk about that a little bit, and how it still can be so valuable for somebody in their local marketplace?
Oh, absolutely. And so if your target market is very local, like hyper local, it's very simple. Just in every content that you create, you keep mentioning the local community, right? So I live in a town called Mill Creek, Washington, and if I'm a real estate agent here, every time I make something, I will just continue to mention, I love living in Mill Creek, Washington. Why you should move to Mill Creek, Washington. Why things aren't so great in Mill Creek, Washington. Here are the school. Because then what happens is when you transcribe that and when you write out the description and the title, it all goes towards feeding Google saying, oh, this person must know a thing about Mill Creek, Washington. So what if I'm a chiropractor in Mill Creek, Washington? Then I just keep saying things that's relevant to being a chiropractor, and I just keep saying things that's relevant to my town or the community that I'm involved in. That's literally the only difference. And what's going to happen is the algorithm is smart enough when you start to push this content and it recognizes that, oh my gosh, like there's 100 views on this video, but 70 of them are coming from this town called Mill Creek, Washington. That must be where people are really liking this content. So let's push this out, right? And that's with spending no money on any ads or anything.
No, I agree with you. I appreciate you sharing that because, again, I know you've got specific experience in those local communities and how to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the other things I know everybody's been wondering, and that's that, okay, how do I, one, what type of video do I create? How do I do it? You guys were talking up front, and we were about there's ways to do this that people don't need to necessarily every day grab their cell phone and shoot a video. I do it a lot. It's what I like to do. Not everybody does. You've got an amazing program that you work with and a strategy that you put in place that allows them to create that video, again, by spending no more than 2 hours a month on it. Can you kind of describe and walk us through, other than grabbing your mobile phone and doing videos, which again can be great. It's a great thing to do, and I want to encourage people to do that. But there's some things that you can do every month as a business owner that create a tremendous amount of content. And you've got one of the best plans ever. Can you talk a little bit to the audience about what that looks like, what it is? Let's share that secret, and then a little bit about what that plan looks like so they can get an idea of really how do they create all this content and be relevant in less than 2 hours a month.
Absolutely. It all starts for me with a piece of long form content. And in my opinion, the best way to do long form content is a podcast style, like a sitting down with someone and just having a dialogue. So, because what that's going to happen, what that's going to do is that's going to prevent you from sort of coming off as not genuine. So, I've done plenty of like talking head videos where, we have a script that I would write out for my clients and they come in and they read. What happens is you could be a great actor, actress, or, very natural on camera, but you still can't hide the fact that like it's a scripted thing. So, when you bring someone in and start having a dialogue. So, for instance, let's just say, again, you're a chiropractor. What you can do is you can bring in past patients, you can bring in local, businesses that's around the area, and what you start to do is you start to have a natural conversation about a topic or a theme that you have predetermined. So if you're a chiropractor, you could say, like, okay, like here, let's talk about, how you can prevent having lower back issues. Then you might want to invite a former patient that may have had that issue, or just anybody that you can speak to. You can literally just invite a business owner next door because lower back pain issue, a lot of people go through that, right? So you start to just have a dialogue. And the funny thing is, when you're talking about something that you love to do or you do for a living, it takes very little preparation for you to start talking about it. Like kind of exactly like how I'm doing. I don't know what questions Jonathan was going to ask me. I don't really have a script. I don't really have anything written down, but just because this is what I do for a living, I'm able to speak to it, right? So once you start that conversation, you might go for 20, 30, 40 minutes, and now you have this one long piece of content that you just created that goes on YouTube. And then we start the repurposing process.
Talk to us about that repurposing, Jay.
Well, this is where you kind of come in with your expertise, utilizing AI types of softwares and services that's out there. You can cut up the long piece of content and use it as a email campaign tool. You can use it as just re-uploading the shorter piece of content. Better yet, you can make less than 1 minute micro contents that you can post to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. So when you get to repurposing the long form and chopping it up and reusing it, that's where that 45 to an hour worth of recording becomes 20, 25 different pieces of content that you're going to be able to generate. And literally, there are sites out there that'll do this with a click of a button. Now, is it perfect? It's not. However, I'm a big fan of done is better than perfect, right? So don't
Absolutely.
feel like you have to make these all perfect. Get in the habit of just building the muscle memory of just doing it, right? Because you can do it as a solo person, as a business owner, with very, very minimum investment in terms of resources, and you can still get this done. Not only that, you can transcribe the video and make it into a blog post. You can turn it into like a quotation post on Instagram with using Canva. I mean, you can literally take, and the reason why it's 2 hours is because it's going to take you about an hour to record, but then you should have another hour where you're uploading all these to different websites and things like that, so that you can gather everything. And then what you can do is you just have a dedicated time where you sit down and you schedule all of these things out. Like, a weekly video does not mean you record every week and you post every week. No, you should just have a set time where you say, okay, every third Wednesday of the month, I'm going to take 2 hours, just block it out, and that's like my content day. And you go from start to finish, and you're just going to take care of everything that day. And you go back to your daily routine, but people are going to be like, why do I see you everywhere? Like, hey, can you stop? Like, that's actually one of the greatest compliments you can get as a content creator. Like, I see you everywhere. I see you too much. Like, that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. And again, as a business person, nothing makes me feel better than to get on a call with somebody and they go, Jonathan, I feel like I know you already, when I've never met them before, because
Mm-hmm.
they've seen those videos in that. The other thing that's admittedly really cool, and I'm in sales and marketing just like you, but there's nothing quite like being able to make a post on social media and have people reach out to you that you do not know
Mm-hmm.
and want to talk to you. I just did this yesterday. I posted a free lead magnet that I give away, and it's helping people understand what are the questions that Google wants you to answer in order to be seen as that topical authority. And we've got tools that do that, and so we offer that as a lead magnet. Obviously, we get their email and all that, and that's a whole nother webinar we could do and talk about. But by just posting on social media, that I'd done 3 of them yesterday morning, and I could do 7 more because I can only do about 10 a day. I had 64 people request one yesterday. That's 64 people that are very likely leads in for me. Now, the 20% of them may not be, but still, if we do
Sure.
80% of that, that's 40 plus people that are definitely qualified leads. And having gone through them, that's accurate. From one social media post. Now, if I made that post and didn't create content, it would have gone nowhere. I would have had to put money behind it. I would have had to do that. And it still probably wouldn't have gone anywhere because no one would know who I was. There wasn't anything else. Jay, I know you and I have talked about this in kind of the prep call and before, but people nowadays, when they see your ad, even let's say we're going to do advertising, they're not just looking at the ad and making a decision. They're now going online and they're looking for video from you. Let's use your main audience, realtors, as an example. If I see an ad for you as a real estate agent and I then decide I want to buy or sell my home, or I need to reach out to you, I'm likely not going to call just based on that ad. I'm going to go, okay, who
No.
is Jay? And
Right.
do you have videos out there? Are you an expert at this, or did you just sign up yesterday?
Right.
Do you have experience? And I'm going to look at your website, your social media, your videos, your content, but especially your videos, because it's so easy to do. And if you, as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, as a professional, don't have that content out there, you cannot capitalize on that either. And can
Right.
make just a huge difference for you as you're doing that.
You
Go
have to
ahead.
assume, at the fact that everyone is going to Google you, even if
Yes.
it's a referral, right? I mean, we used to think like, oh, hey, this is a referral from my parents, or it's from my siblings. then you just kind of automatically assume that that's going to turn into business. It doesn't work like that. I can refer you to my best friend, but still what he's going to do when he goes home is he's going to Google you, and what he finds is going to determine if that outreach is going to happen the next morning. And again, that's why you got to build that topical authority. You have to create not I don't want to say illusion. You should demonstrate to people the fact that you know what you're talking about in the very area that they need help with, so that that's already going to build some of that trust before they even decide to call you.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're out there as a business owner wondering, how do you come up with the ideas and how do you do this? Jay mentioned earlier, I'm a huge fan of AI. A lot of you know that about me. Use tools like ChatGPT and Bard to ask them questions. I did a live stream earlier today. In fact, I showed on that, and it works so well. And a lot of people don't know it. You can literally go into ChatGPT or Bard, it doesn't matter which one, and you can say, I want to create a series of videos that my audience would be interested in. I do X, I serve Y. Ask me some questions and help me brainstorm ideas of content that I can create. Or better yet, if I'm following your model, Jay, and I'm using a podcast, give me ideas of people in my community that I can reach out to and interview. Because one of the things that I think is so effective for local businesses, like you had mentioned, interview other local business people, interview people that are in the news. Maybe it's one of the best examples I have was from a friend of mine, Matt Plapp, and he was talking about in restaurant marketing. If you're a restaurant and you're out there trying to market, obviously very much to your local community, sometimes even your hyper local community, and somebody from the high school sports team gets picked up by a major college or even a minor college or whatever, go reach out and interview that person for a couple minutes. Bring them on, because it may have nothing to do with the burrito that you serve at your restaurant, and that's okay, because you're not there to advertise it. You want to be the local expert, whether you're in real estate, whether you're doing chiropractic, whether you're a plumber, whether you're doing a restaurant. It doesn't matter. If you, as you said, you keep talking about your community, then people are going to resonate with you. And guess what? They're going to come buy your burritos if you got a restaurant, because they're going to go, wow, I love Jay. I love Jay's content. He's always talking about the area that we live in. My case, that's Fremont, Michigan. It's a little town of 3,000 people. But if I've got a restaurant here and I'm constantly interviewing people and talking, and by the way, constantly means one podcast a month. That's 12 times a year, guys. It's not that much. I'm interviewing local business people. I'm maybe talking to some newsmakers. I'm reaching out to that high school sports star and talking to them. That will create, with repurposing. You ran a number the other day, Jay, and I'm going to ask you, I'll give you a preform. I want to know what that was. I talked to you today, and you'd done a video and shared one podcast can create literally an exponential number of video clips that go out there. What was that number? It was just unbelievable. I mean, it wasn't a one-to-one.
I think it's somewhere between 53 to 57 different pieces of content. And when we say content, so the way we count these things, if you had a topic that you were talking about, and of the topic you made like 3 great points, let's say, those 3 great points can be chopped up as a short form content. So that's 3 short form content. But then when it gets posted to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, you all of a sudden went from 3 pieces of content that got posted to 4 different platforms. So now that just went to 3 to 12, just like that.
Exactly.
And it's rinse and repeat. So again, not everyone is on all the platforms, and not everyone is on the platform all the time. So one of the questions that I always get is, I don't want to post too much. I promise you, there is no such thing as posting too much. If someone comes up to you and says that I see you too much, like stop posting it, one, I feel bad for that person, because they're actually trying to bring you down from doing something good.
You bet.
Right?
You bet.
But the other thing too is, if they see the 17 posts that you make every day, that means one of 2 things. Either they don't have enough friends or connections on their social media that they just keep seeing your thing, or they're on it so much that they're seeing every single one of your thing pop up, which either way, the issue is more with them, not you.
No, absolutely. And, you bring up an interesting point there. We had another question come in about, what if I run out of content? Can I repost? And I want to encourage people that, I regularly, run into times when I don't have enough content ready, and I'll grab a video from 3 months ago, from 6 months ago, from a year ago, and I'll repost it. And I can't tell you how many times people are like, wow, that's exactly what I needed to read today, or what I needed to hear today, see today. And I recorded it a year ago. It's already been posted, but they never saw that. Or if they did, they forgot about it. I
Most
had this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think our attention span is like shorter than goldfish or something.
Yes.
Trust
Yeah.
me, 12 months ago, my goodness, they might not even remember stuff you posted 12 days ago.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I had this actually on a video that I did a couple years ago, before I got doing it regularly. And I had posted that video on at least 4 separate occasions. I had one person who is very prominent in my area comment on it each time I did it. And I
As if
actually
you
ended up
just posted it.
as if I just posted it. And I actually had a meeting with them about a month later. And I commented that I appreciated it because I thought they'd done it just to be supportive. You know how some people, oh, hey, Jay, it's your video, I'm going to like it to be supportive. And he said, you mean I made 4 comments on that video? I said, yeah, each time I posted it. He goes, I think he knew the video, but he goes,
Right.
I don't remember seeing that 4 times. So they'd actually seen it and commented on it, and they still had no recollection that they'd seen that video more than once. So once you start developing this library of content, you now have so much more flexibility as a professional and a business person to be able to, a couple weeks ago, my father-in-law passed away. That definitely impacted my ability to keep up with my schedule. But it didn't impact my ability to repost something that I did 2 months ago and take 3 minutes out of my day to make sure I got something out there. And again, people were still engaging with it, especially
Right.
when you're doing things like talking about your local community, sharing general tips about your business. If I'm a dentist, if I can share some basic tips about how do I deal with things when I've got a toothache, or what do I do in an
Mhm.
emergency situation, those evergreen type topics are going to be as applicable today as they were 3 years ago in almost every case.
Right. And the key thing to remember is when you either capture the content or when you curate and actually create the final output, the key is for you to actively organize it as it's happening. Because
Yes.
take it from me, from someone who's got 3 different, 80 terabytes worth of stuff. If you say, "Oh, I'll go back and do it later," it's never gonna work. So mainly, you want to break it down into 2 things. You want to say you said the keyword. Is this a evergreen content? Meaning, if I said, I'm a chiropractor, and here's 3 things that you can do to, try to prevent you from getting, lower back pain. That's a
Yep.
evergreen content because that is not gonna change unless some, crazy medical advancement research happens that says otherwise. So that you can tag it or save it as a evergreen. Then a year later you can repost that, or when the rainy day comes you can repost that. And then there is the seasonal stuff, right? Anything that you might do for like Halloween. Right now I'm very big on pumpkin spice latte challenge. So everybody should go out to 2 or 3, different coffee shops in their community and do a pumpkin spice latte challenge. Like, who's got the best pumpkin spice latte? Because, that's like a trendy thing in October. So
Absolutely.
when you do that, you can, as long as those businesses they're still there, you can repost that the next year, right?
Absolutely.
I don't suggest it, but that's an example of like seasonal content. So something for Christmas or the holidays or Thanksgiving, and then you also want to tag it if you make something that is really only for that instance, so that it stops you from accidentally like reusing it in the future.
No, and that's tremendous advice. I couldn't agree with you more. There's so much of that can be done. So one of the things that I want to wrap up here, and I want to let everybody know how they can reach out to you, Jay, if they've got questions, they want to learn more about this, any resources that you can recommend. I've got a few that I'll recommend as well. But if somebody's watching this and they go, okay, guys, you finally convinced me, I need to start doing video, or I need to do video more frequently, but I just need some direction.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way for them to reach out to you and understand what you can do to help out with that, Jay?
Yeah, so I can be reached out at JAE at im3rdmedia.com. That's at im3rdmedia.com. But I want to leave everybody with a actionable item that they can do it tonight or this weekend. Okay?
Thank you.
You have a phone, and whether it's your spouse, whether it's your children, whether it's your cousin or sibling or whatever business you are in, come up with the 10 questions that you get the most often. Write that question down. Pay $20 to that other person and just say, hey, would you just hold this phone up and then ask me these 10 questions? And what you're doing is looking straight into that phone as if there's your favorite client behind it. And then
Yep.
you're going to answer that question. Don't stop the video. This is one long video that you are going to do. And you're going to get asked 10 questions and you're going to answer 10 questions. It's okay if you or ah. It's okay if you mess up. Just start over. That's okay. All right? That should take you no more than 10, 15 minutes. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take that clip and go to a site called opus.pro. That's
Great site.
www.opus.pro. And then you are going to upload your footage to that site. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you somewhere between 7 to 10 short form content that you are going to be able to post right away. And it's going to have captions and all that stuff. If you want to go in and jazz it up a little bit, you can. But again, done is better than perfect, right? So you spend 15 minutes thinking about the 10 questions, 15 minutes thinking, recording it, answering it, and then you spend another 15 minutes getting it uploaded, and next thing you know, you're going to spend the last 15 minutes scheduling these out, and you're done for the week.
No, and that's a great challenge. And I want to second that and encourage you that no matter what you do, if you've got any type of inspiration off this, take a few minutes today and record that first video. I just published a video yesterday talking about why I think people should go live when they're starting. It's not because being live is any better than anything else, but when you go live, you have to accept that it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. Just as we're doing right here. This is not scripted. This is just impromptu. We're having a discussion, and it's going to work out just fine. But if you force yourself to go live, you can't go, oops, I got to retake, because you're live. It's there. It's going out on the internet. That, in my mind, is one of the best ways to get started with video, because done is better than perfect, like Jay just said. It's
and not to mention,
better.
it'll just stay there. When you're done, it'll just stay there.
Absolutely. No, like you said, it's not going to go away. So, I love your idea, Jay. I mean, go ahead, get those top 10 questions. We've all got 10 questions that we know our customers ask, and answer those and put those out there. And then, like you said, go to Opus, take a look at that site, or go on Fiverr and hire somebody, or call your favorite high schooler or college kid. I promise you, they're going to know how to clip that up. And probably for the price of a pizza, they would go ahead and trim all that up and send you everything you need. You've now got 10 or more videos that's going to cover you for more than a week. And you did it in 20 minutes. It's
Jonathan,
brilliant
that's a great point, and this is something that a lot of people don't think about, because I do get asked often, like, who edits the video? Where do I find the editor? So yeah, Fiverr, Upwork, all that. But the best source is look to your community. Like, if you own a restaurant, maybe just put up a sign. Hey, any aspiring video editors out there, or videographer, like high school kids would just do it for the experience, and just make some type of a trade. And again, this is a great way to kind of give back to the community and have some benefit for yourself with content creation. Local community college, if they have a video course or like a creative something course of some sort. Every community college has a bulletin board. Just go post something up. Hey, like, would you work for pizza? Right? Because these guys are looking for experience.
You're creating more content or giving yourself the opportunity, imagining, and we're talking local and creating that local. Do a video of the fact that you're, walking into the community college and you've got this post and here's what you're going to do. And, as you're talking to them, maybe you get a chance to talk to a professor. make that a video. People are going to love it because you're giving somebody an opportunity. And the benefit, as you pointed out, Jay, you're getting value from that too. So it's a win-win all the way around. And I love the thought of keeping things in the community. I work with a high schooler right now who's getting into photography and videography. And his mom literally just before this messaged me and said, hey, he wants to get into sports videography. And I'm looking at the cost of the equipment and they're talking tens of thousands of dollars. What do I do? And I said, well, first, have him learn how to put together good sports video. I said, I know he has one of these. It's called an iPhone. Have him start using this. And she's like, oh, he can't use his iPhone to do that. And I said, he sure can. They shoot movies on it nowadays. Now, down the road, once he's learned, that's great. But helping students, helping young people learn that and develop trades, that you can offer your experience, your mentorship, they can do work and everybody wins. And like Jay said, sometimes you can do it for the price of a pizza. They're thrilled to gain the experience, have something they can add to their resume. You're getting value out of it. Everybody wins all the way around. So,
and by the way, one last tip, Jonathan. We're gonna have some people that's gonna be really inspired by what we just went through, and
I
then
hope
their
so.
their brain's gonna start ticking, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what camera do I need? What lights do I need? What tripod do I need?" Do not go there.
Yes.
You have one of these. Start with this. And when you can prove to yourself that you can consistently show up and create content for the next 3 months, don't even think about buying anything. Because majority of the time what happens is if you spend more time and energy trying to get equipment, that equipment just ends up collecting dust. Trust me, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment, and you always just gravitate towards using the select few that you know works. Right now for you, this works. So go with it.
I can't think of a better way to end it. That is perfect. That's your gold nugget, everybody. You've been watching. Jay just shared it with you. That's how to do it. If you want to learn more about video and you want to find out how do you do a podcast in a couple hours and turn it into that content, reach out to Jay, reach out to me. You'll find us on social media. We'd be happy to help out. I just want to encourage everybody, press record. Just press record, guys.
Just hit it.
All right. Make it a great day, everybody. Thanks so much.